By the summer of 1848, the 105 surviving men of the Franklin expedition abandoned HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. They stepped off their trapped ships and down onto the frozen Arctic Ocean. Leaving the ships marked the start of a slow, agonizing descent. For the 105 men now on foot, every mile south was a calculation in biological failure. For the Inuit, the Arctic was a home that required traveling light. Surviving here meant moving quickly and carrying almost nothing. Every extra kilogram meant a hunter needed more calories, and on the ice, unnecessary energy was a death sentence. When the Inuit encountered the British, they saw the opposite of survival. The sailors were in harnesses, dragging massive sledges across the ice. These sledges were piled with thousands of pounds of naval equipment, entire libraries of books, and in the frozen waste, even fine silver cutlery. These men were trained for the structure of 19th century naval warfare. By clinging to the physical weight of their old lives, they were fighting against an environment that rewards only adaptation. As the weeks passed, their bodies failed. Scurvy caused old wounds to tear open, teeth to loosen, and internal bleeding to rot the men from the inside out. The environment offered no mercy. With the sea frozen solid and wild game scarce, their calorie intake dropped to almost nothing, while their physical labor increased. The unified command of 105 men eventually fractured. Desperate groups split off, hoping that smaller numbers would make it easier to find food as they pushed south. These splinter groups left a trail of makeshift camps across King William Island, sites that quickly became graveyards, marked by shredded tents and broken equipment. This is a photograph of rusted, empty food tins found on the rocky ground. Searchers later found these tins arranged into a cross, a final marker left at a site of slow starvation. Inuit accounts from the time describe seeing exhausted white men wandering aimlessly. Some would simply stop walking and collapse where they stood. In their final encounters, the survivors were too weak to speak. They could only use desperate hand gestures to beg the Inuit for scraps of meat. The rigid discipline of the Royal Navy had been replaced by a primitive struggle for a single day's survival. This photograph shows a site of the expedition's final march. Here, searchers discovered a massive wooden boat mounted to a hauling sledge, surrounded by the bodies of the men who had been pulling it. Inside the boat was some necessary gear: guns, cooking equipment, and heavy blankets. But tucked among the blankets were items that offered no protection from the cold: heavy books and personalized silver dinner plates engraved with the officers' names. Moving these items required immense physical strength that the men no longer had. Every step forward with the sledge was a waste of precious, finite energy. Instead of shedding the weight to move faster, they spent their final heartbeats dragging hundreds of kilograms of their old world across the ice. The last survivors pushed south until they simply vanished. They collapsed into the snow, becoming part of a landscape that offered no shelter. The Arctic began to erase them. Snow filled their footprints and buried their camps, leaving dozens of bodies undiscovered for over a century. Thousands of miles away, the British public remained unaware of the disaster. While the men were dying on the ice, the Royal Navy was organizing massive rescue fleets and printing hopeful updates in the newspapers. The Admiralty expected to find a disciplined crew holding out for rescue. They had no way of knowing they were heading toward a graveyard. The rescue teams were sailing toward a discovery of scattered bones and silent, abandoned ships, evidence of a disaster that would force Britain to reconcile with the total loss of its finest expedition.